Hello everyone and welcome to the 3.0 Combat Sentinel overview. And if you ask why are you doing this video, well, I haven't had enough dislikes in a while or enough hate directed my way in a while, so I thought screw it, let's do a Marauder video. We might as well. So the old combat spec, how is it playing in 3.0? Pretty badly, I have to say, to be honest with you. It's pretty bad right now, to be honest. It's not the worst spec. I mean, it's probably the most playable of the three Marauder specs. Annihilation, which is Watchman. Yeah, Watchman. There it is. Watchman, I don't like. Concentration's okay. It's not too bad. But combat tends to be my go-to spec. So let's get into our utilities. Let's talk about our utilities. First thing we're going to take is Jedi Enforcer. Increase the damage dealt by Rebuke by 15%. Not that we really care about that. More importantly, it increases the duration by 4 seconds. Again, Rebuke is a very good defensive cooldown. It does a bit of damage to attackers. Reduces all damage taken by 20%. And it deals damage as well. The damage ain't too bad. The damage is it's not great for damage, but you know, it's nice to have. So again, increasing the damage dealt is pretty nice. Debilitation tend not to take for raiding, Master Strike immobilizing the target for the duration. Again, can't immobilize raid bosses, can't immobilize flashpoint bosses. Pointless. Useful for questing if you don't have threat on the target. For example, the big lurker that you fight, which always attacks my companion and never me, so that's useful for that. Again, Jedi Crusader tend to go as when Rebuke is active, it generates 1 focus whenever you are attacked. Pretty nice, because generally when we're using Rebuke we will be getting hit by things, so it's nice to have the focus. It's always nice to get the focus. Defiance, generate 4 focus when stunned, slept, or knocked down. Now if we know we're going to get knocked down, if we know we're going to get stunned, if we know we're going to get put to sleep, pretty useful actually. Maybe take this over Crusader if you know it's going to happen on a regular basis. For questing and leveling, there's a lot of mobs that stun you, so it's worth taking for leveling, worth taking for questing. The other one we take is Defensive Forms. You build 2 Zen when attacked. Pretty nice. Depending on your lightsaber form, it will have a different effect. Our lightsaber form increases our movement speed by 15%. It's not, again, it's very good if we want to get out of things quicker. A lot of AoE are going around, a lot of AoE on the ground. We want to get out of that quickly. Again, if our cooldowns are not available, if our camouflage or our what is it called again in the Marauder? Predication or whatever, or Transcendence it's called. Predication is the Marauder. Can never always get these two mixed up because I leveled 2 at the same time. Got the Sentinel and the Marauder leveling at the same time. Trailblazer I tend not to go with for this. I mean you may think it's a no-brainer. Cyclone Slash gives you 25% more damage, but to be honest, our AoE is shit. It is utter garbage in combat spec. It's not worth it. For AoE, I just don't even bother AoEing, to be honest. I just go about my single target rotation. I find it's much better if you're doing like regular trash mobs. You can just get your Clashing Blast proc, your Dispatch proc. Your Twin Saber Throw tends to do not a lot of damage these days. Force Sweep don't do a lot of damage, and Cyclone Slash, it's too expensive for me, to be honest. So I just tend to not bother with AoE entirely. I think it's much easier just to focus on single target. If we're in a trash pack situation, who cares? It's not going to affect your DPS on bosses unless there's multiple bosses, which, to be honest, there's not a lot of them. You tend to be DPSing 1 boss at a time. If you look at Sword Squadron and things like that, you're on one or the other. You know, Underlurker, you're fighting 1 ad. You're not, yeah, the ads are too spread out on Underlurker, so again, limited use really. For questing it's probably a bit more useful, but again, most trash mobs die in a few seconds anyway. It's much better to use things. Stagger, increase the duration of force leaps immobilize effect. Again, not useful for PvE. This is PvE we're talking about when we talk about these overviews. We'll move on to Masterful. Masterful Incisor, Force Leap, Force Melt, Clashing Blast, Zealous Leap, Snare the target. Reducing its movement speed by 50% for 8 seconds. Again, PvP. You're gonna go, you don't really care about snaring in PvE. Jedi Promulgator. Pretty useful actually, if I could ever say it. Each use of strike, Zealous Strike, legs and leg slash reduces the active cooldown of Rebuke by 3 seconds. Again, Rebuke is pretty nice. We're again increasing its duration. We're getting benefits here, so I tend to take this. Zealous Strike we will be using pretty regularly. We won't be using Strike so much, but Zealous Strike, again, is our main focus builder. So when we need focus to build focus, it's nice to have that cooldown. It's nice to have that taking the cooldown away. Defensive roll reduces all damage taken from area effects by 30%. Certain bosses, this is going to be required. Bosses like Sword Squadron, the Underlurker, Bulow, going to be required. Master and Blaster, yep, those kind of bosses are a lot of AoE damage going out. Again, reducing that damage by 30% is nice. Watchguard reduces the cooldown of Pacify by 15 seconds and Force Kick by 2 seconds. If we need to interrupt things, if things need to be interrupted, I would take this. It's pretty useful again. So Kick is the main thing. Pacify, not so much. We don't really care about Pacify, to be honest. But in PvE anyway. But Force Kick is pretty important on bosses that need to be interrupted, or any trash that needs to be interrupted. There is a few trash packs in Temple of Sacrifice that need to be interrupted. So again, getting your Force Kick out, getting that 2 seconds off it can be useful there. Pulse reduces the cooldown of Force Stasis by 15 seconds. Nah. PvE kind of useless, really. Force Stasis is it's the equivalent of Force Choke, basically. Kind of useless in PvE. PvP, maybe want that. For certain things in questing, maybe, you know, like the elites, the Revanite Overseers, maybe you'd want that, but again, they tend to be dead very quickly, so you're never going to get 2 Force Stasises off, just so you avoid a knockback, really, and you're not going to die from the knockback, so it's not really crucial. Displacement is not too bad. Increase the range of Pacify by 6 meters and allows Rebuke to be used while stunned. Now, certain bosses, this is going to be useful. We are thinking about Korriban. The bonus boss on Korriban in particular, this is going to be an ability that you're going to take. The reason is that he does his choke, he chokes everybody and you take massive damage. You are stunned while you're being choked, so being able to use Rebuke while you're stunned is very nice, because it does massive damage. It's like 5k per tick of the dots, so it is a massive benefit to take displacement. I would take it. Getting that Rebuke, again, getting the duration increased of Rebuke. You'll still be dealing damage while you're stunned, which is nice as well, from Rebuke, but you'll be taking 20% less damage during the duration of that choke. Very important in that particular fight. Any other fights where you are getting stunned regularly, it's useful. PvP, it's pretty useful as well, I have to say. But again, I would take this. If you get Korriban comes up, respec into this, pretty much useful. Force Fade, increase the duration of Force Camouflage by 2 seconds and further increase the movement speed bonus of Force Camouflage by 20%. Useful to an extent, really, but it's not the most useful thing. If you need to get out of something fairly fast, you know, if you need to get out of something, then I would suggest taking this, because again, gets your movement speed increase the duration. Again, certain fights that we need to move fast is going to be useful. Certainly it's going to be useful. So again, bear in mind, change your utilities on a fight for fight basis, because there's certain things that benefit certain fights. We'll move on to our heroic ones now. We have Fleet-footed. When Transcendence is applied or refreshed, it purges movement impairing effects. Additionally, the movement speed bonus of Transcendence is increased by 30%. This applies to the whole group. Transcendence is applied to a group. It is a group cooldown. This is, well, we've gone AFK now. We'll move around a little bit now. We spent a long time discussing these utilities. They are quite interesting for the Marauder. So basically this is a requirement for a lot of bosses that do movement impairing things. If you look at the first boss in what's it called, Rakata, Legacy of the Rakata HM, take this, take Fleet-footed, because your healer and the rest of your group will love you as a Marauder. You pop your Transcendence, it purges the movement speed, so and it increases the speed bonus. So Transcendence converts 30 stacks of centering to issue Transcendence to your group members, increases your movement speed and increases melee and range defense by 10%. Quite a powerful group utility, as well as purging things. So Marauder, you're useful. You're actually useful in a group. Take that on that first boss. Any boss that's doing movement impairing effects. I think Underlurker HM does do that. So again, Marauders, we need you. We're actually going to need you. Expunging Camouflage, I like. Force Camouflage removes all cleansable effects when activated. Again, certain fights where we're going to be taking heavy dot damage is very useful, I would suggest. Fights like Coratini, where we do get dots put on us, we can cleanse ourselves. We don't have to rely on the healer to cleanse us. We can just do it ourselves. You know, again, you are providing group utility, which is quite nice. You're saving the healer a cooldown, because bear in mind that cleanses have had their cooldowns increased. It's about 10 seconds for a cleanse to come off cooldown. You could sit there taking damage for 10 seconds, or you could remove it. Again, you're going to benefit your healer, and someone who plays a healer, I like this, so I tend to take it. Force Aegeus, increase the duration of Guarded by the Force by 2 seconds. Again, very useful. I would argue against it, because again, Guarded by the Force, yes, it gives you 99% damage reduction, but at the cost of 50% of your health. Whereas Guarded by the Force, yep, 99% damage reduction for 4 seconds. You get it for 6 seconds. Costs 50% of your current health. As someone who's a healer, no, we don't want you using Force Camouflage. Just thank you for giving us more to heal. But again, it tends to be more useful in areas that if something's going to kill you, Guarded by the Force is useful. Like if something is actually outright going to kill you, X ability is going to kill me, then Guarded by the Force tends to be a very useful thing, a very useful cooldown. Increasing its duration is okay. I mean, it's not too bad. You also get the thing that reduces the cooldown. Again, you want to take these two. I prefer to cleanse myself. I don't want to get into a situation where I'm about to die. I want to take damage reduction. I want to take Rebuke. I'm going to use Rebuke to prevent myself getting into a situation where I need to use Guarded by the Force. We tend to use it at quite high health. I would recommend for using that. Again, just don't give the healers a mountain to climb for healing you, essentially. So it's useful for preventing death, essentially. If ability X is going to kill me and I have nothing left, Guarded by the Force is good. But unless it's going to kill you, I tend to go with Rebuke or what's the other one? Saber Ward. Again, Saber Ward increasing her defenses by 50%. Just Pursuit Leg Slash consumes 2 less focus. In addition, using Leg Slash against the target already slowed by your Leg Slash immobilizes the target. Again, kind of useless for PvE. More useful for PvP. Again, Guarded by the Force is actually quite useful in PvP as well. Tends to be more of a PvP thing. Personally, not a fan of that, to be honest. Not a fan of that as a healer. I'd rather cleanse myself and save the healer some healing rather than spend half my HP and give the healer a mountain to climb. As again, that's just me as a healer. Zealous Ward is very useful. as well. Getting attacked while Saber Ward is active heals you for 3% of your maximum health. Again, if we're taking constant damage, if we're taking constant AoE damage, again on fights like the Underlurker, this is useful. Free healing is nice. Maybe you're going to want to swap these two out for fights. It's going to become down to really, I would suggest a choice between Zealous Ward and Expunging Camouflage. Again, heavy dot damage, Expunging Camouflage, a lot of raid-wide AoE damage. Again, we think about the Underlurker, and Sword Squadron as well, and Bulow as well. There's a lot of AoE damage going out there. So we're taking a lot of damage. Getting those heals for 3% is pretty nice. The other one I would say is mandatory is Contemplation. Reduces the cooldown of awe by 15 seconds, and you build 30 stacks of centering over the course of using introspection. Again, it cannot occur more than once every 30 seconds. This is very, very useful because we are going to want to open up our fight with 30 stacks of centering, and we can get it using Valorous Call, or we can get it using Zen. We can just pop introspection and get Zen. What this allows us to do is get 2 bouts of Zen off fairly quickly, because we can start with 30 stacks on the boss fight, then pop Valorous Call and get another one available. So again, if we want to use things like Transcendence, Zen, and Inspiration, Zen tends to be the thing that we're going to want in this spec. That's the thing. We want Alacrity. Zen increases our Alacrity by 30%, which is insane, and we are going to need Alacrity. And we will talk about our rotation. We'll talk about gearing. Gearing is fairly simple. Your stat priorities are accuracy, of course. Now there are 2 methods of approaching this spec. The first method is the crit method, which we haven't gone for, or the power method. I don't like the crit method. Some people say take some crit. I've taken no crit. None of my gear has crit in it. All of it has power. I like power. So your stat priority, number 1, accuracy power. Now I will throw out a caveat that I have too much accuracy. What I am going to do is I am going to get the 192 offhand. I'm going to drop the accuracy from this offhand lightsaber. Then I'm going to augment, because if I drop the accuracy I'll drop 1%. So I'll drop to 99.5. Then I'm going to buy an augment for accuracy, and then I'm going to get a 100 again, because an augment is what, 0.5%. So we're 0.5% over. So we need to... I don't have any augments for accuracy, I should point out right now. Still in the process of upgrading augments. I've still got a few 148s and 156s around. So we will get them upgraded in the future. So we're still just fresh. This is a fresh level 60 at the moment. But 100% accuracy, and then your next stat is Surge. Everything goes to Surge in low gear. So anything that's not power accuracy is power Surge. Power Surge, everything else is power accuracy. I think we've only got 2 things. That's why I want 3 things, because I want to get as close to 70% Surge. Now when we go up the gear tiers, we're going to look at Alacrity. We get 3%, we get 3% from our lightsaber form. It no longer gives us accuracy anymore. Disappointing. It gives us Alacrity, so we're sitting at 3% Alacrity. We are going to want Alacrity for this spec, but our stat budget doesn't allow us Alacrity. The reason we do want Surge is because of our new ability, which is Clashing Blast, which replaces our Blade Storm, essentially, and it will crit 100% of the time. Now, you gotta love BioWare. Execute on this text. Copy and paste much? Favoring the Empire much, BioWare? Execute, it's Opportune Attack. This is wrong. Execute is the Marauder one. Get it right, BioWare. Please get it right. So yeah, Execute or Opportune Attack now additionally increases the critical chance of Blade Storm and Clashing Blast by 100%. So Clashing Blast, which is our replacement for Blade Storm, will crit every single time. That's the only real change to the spec that's been made, is that you're swapping out your Blade Storm for Clashing Blast at level 57. We also get the 30% critical strike damage bonus, no, 10% should I say, not 30% at level 59, which is nice on top of that. So whenever this procs, it's going to auto crit. So again, getting Surge is just going to increase the damage of that. Right, let's get to our rotation. We're going to start by using Introspection and getting our 30 stacks of centering. The reason for that is we want Zen right away. Depending on the group buff. Does it keep it up? No, it doesn't. So what we want to do is bear in mind that Inspiration will be used at certain times of the fight. So you want to keep 30 stacks, but when you don't need Inspiration, you will be using Zen. Zen increases our Alacrity by 30%, and the reason for that is we want to increase the Precision window. The Precision window increases armor penetration by 100% and lasts for 3 seconds, which is the duration of Master Strike. So what we want to be doing is Precision, Master Strike. That's what we tend to line these two up nicely. What Zen allows us to do is get an extra cooldown off. Our preference is Clashing Blast. Clashing Blast tends to be our preference. Whether it's procced or not, use Clashing Blast. Whether it's going to auto crit or not, preferably if it's going to auto crit, we're going to use Clashing Blast under the Precision window. So we're going to use that. Again, very good damage increase. If it's not available, if it's on cooldown, Dispatch if it's proc. That's our next thing that we're going to use. If that's unavailable, if everything's unavailable and we've got really unlucky, then we're probably just going to use Blade Rush. We used to use Twin Saber Throw, but it ain't worth it anymore. This does so much. Blade Rush does more damage than Twin Saber Throw right now. So definitely I would just go Blade Rush. Tends to be. But our priority is always Precision, Master Strike. Clip your Master Strike. So what happens is Master Strike will last for 2.3 seconds rather than 3 seconds. So it will allow us to get Clashing Blast off when we have Zen up. Generally, it's just get Master Strike off. Try and clip it and fire off a Clashing Blast as well. So our target is, again, we're going to build our centering. Get our Introspection off while the ready check's going. Before the ready check generally, because it does last for a minute at least. So we get our 30 stacks, we get in there, we get that off right away, get this off, get our Master Strike off. Oh, we didn't have enough. I forgot to press the thing, actually. Oops. Forgot about that. Again, always use your bloody Zealous Strike. That's what I mean about the spec, it fucking sucks. Right, we'll wait to get our Zen back. Cancel that off. So we can get our Zen back. So what we're going to do is remember to hit fucking Zealous Strike. Because I fucking hate this Marauder spec. It's always pressing buttons. So you want to get your Marauder, Zealous Strike, make sure you get enough focus to use Clashing Blast. Ugh. That's why I hate this spec so much. It's like everything is build focus, then hit something. If you look at something like a Shadow where we can just use abilities, this is why I just hate this spec. So anyway, we'll build our Zen. Take 2. Build our Zen. Start again. Get our Force Leap off, get our Zealous Slash off, get that off. Again, 2.3 seconds, want to clip it, get that off, try and get that off again. We try to get them off. It's procced again, which is nice. It can proc off itself, which is quite a nice thing. We want to be using it as it procs. Again, because it does a nice amount of damage. So again, the more surge we get, it is very nice. So that is our opener. It tends to be our opening gambit. I like Zen because it gives us that guarantee. Now certain fights we may be required to use Inspiration at the start. Use Inspiration if you're required to. Inspiration tends to take priority over Zen because Zen benefits you and you alone. Inspiration benefits the whole raid. Bear in mind that you are there to benefit the whole raid essentially. Benefiting the raid is much of a reason to keep you around. If you want to do progression as a Marauder, bringing benefits to the raid is much better. So we tend to be tends to be our opener. Getting that Clashing Blast off in that Precision window is our top priority. If it's not available, Dispatch tends to be Dispatch that's available. So our priority, we're just into filler. Blade Rush is our basic filler. Keep our focus up with Zealous Strike. You can fire Twin Saber Throw if you want. It's free. You might as well. Twin Saber Throw. It doesn't do a lot of damage these days. It tends to be if you're low on focus, Twin Saber Throw is not bad. It's not a bad little thing. And again, you want to be trying to line up Precision with Master Strike. That is your strategy. Use Dispatch and Clashing Blast whenever they come off cooldown. Now the big thing, one of the big changes is that Master Strike is 17.5 second cooldown. This is 11 seconds, so they don't quite line up. 11.7. So you don't really want to have Master Strike available and have precision on cooldown. That's really what you don't want. That's the situation you want to avoid, really, is that get your precision lined up with Master Strike. What you want to avoid is having Master Strike available for, at least 3 or 4 seconds. Sometimes as well it can be worth sitting on your Clashing Blast proc if Precision and Master Strike are off cooldown. You can sit on it and just build some centering. Like if you're like, say you're at 28 centering. Say you're at, say, 24, 25 centering and your Clashing Blast is procced. But it doesn't tell you how long it lasts. We'll try and get a Clashing Blast proc to come up. We'll see if we can see how long it lasts. Yeah, it lasts for about 4 seconds. So if you're about to get that off, I mean, Hand of Justice tends to last longer. Where is it? No, that's the wrong one we've got up. Sorry. Oh yeah, we want to get our... We'll see if we can get it up again. Yeah, it lasts for about 14 seconds. So there it is, 14 seconds it lasts for. So what you can do is take advantage of this. If your centering is about to hit 50, if your centering is about to hit 30, and your precision and your Master Strike is coming off cooldown, sit on this proc. Sit on it. Hold back. Just hold back a little bit. Pop your Zen, then pop your precision, then pop your Master Strike, then get your Clashing Blast off. It will do more damage. Just to sit on it, just for a few seconds. You've got 14 seconds to do it. You've got 14 seconds. So, it's not too bad. That won't work on a pistol, what he's saying. It's bound to the gear. No, it doesn't. If you try to take a piece of gear from an assault cannon, you can't put it in a pistol. Because I tried it with a shotgun to put in a pistol and it didn't work. So, it won't work. That won't work. What that guy's telling him there in the chat window. So again, that's going to be your strategy. Just sit on that proc. You want to use Dispatch whenever it procs though. Dispatch can be used whenever it procs. But just bear in mind, keep in mind your centering and or you could pop Valorous Call as well if it's available. If you've got this proc and these two are available and your Valorous Call is off cooldown. We will talk a little bit about the old set bonus. It is worth keeping. Certainly increase the damage dealt. Master Strike and Ravage by 8%. Pretty good actually. It's worth keeping. I kept the Underworld armorings in. The 4-piece is definitely worth keeping as well. Whether it's Underworld is definitely worth. Again, reducing the cooldown of Frenzy or Valorous Call by 15 seconds for this spec is pretty nice. Activating Zen or Berserk gives you an increase. All damage dealt by 4%. Again, they are pretty nice. Pretty nice, the set bonus. I haven't looked at the new set bonuses actually because I just got her to 60, so I don't know what they're like. But the old 4-piece is definitely worth keeping. I only had 2 of them, but 2-piece better than nothing. It's getting my Master Strike more damage. So it is a nice little boost. You might take a little bit of an armoring loss, a little bit of a stat loss, so it's not too bad. So that is all for this video. I think we covered pretty much everything. So again, just try and keep your precision windows. Trying to get an extra cooldown out of your precision windows is the key. Eventually what we'll do is when we're sort of 198 gear, we may be able to incorporate a bit of alacrity into our gear. But for now, it is Surge is the secondary priority. Accuracy and then Surge. The reason why we don't really want crit is because we're going to get an auto crit and we're going to get the precision, which is kind of like a crit as well. So we're going to get precision with Master Strike. So we've got plenty of things that use our that don't really need crit for the spec. Some people argue you need it, some people don't. I'm of the mindset you don't need crit for the spec. It's the same if you're going to go for concentration. If you're going to go for that spec, the things are pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same stats. Watchmen, you probably want a little bit of crit in, just because it's a dot spec. So I wouldn't go total power. I'd maybe take a couple of crit things, maybe about 22-23%, maybe try and edge it towards 25%. For augments, because we're taking no crit, we're taking 1 accuracy. Maybe take 1 surge augment, I would recommend. It depends what percentage the surge gets to. You want to get to 70, ideally. 70 is your ideal. So I would suggest taking maybe 1 surge and then the rest can be strength. But you can ditch the surge one when you eventually get to 75. 75% surge is the diminishing return point. So you don't want to be going beyond that. If you're at 75% surge and you've got slots available, then I would take the take alacrity. If you've got 75% surge, then we're going into alacrity because it is going to be a benefit for us. It is going to help with our cooldowns. It is going to help with our precision window, and getting that extra cooldown off in that window is very good for that. So that is all for the Marauder. Quite an interesting spec right now, but again, needs alacrity to be really good. So thank you for joining me for this video, and we'll see you soon. And goodbye.